From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and Akashvani, this is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Eleanor Oldroyd in London, where England cricket fans are just feeling a little bit nervous about the idea that their progress in the T20 World Cup as defending champions, let's not forget, could be foiled by two of their greatest sporting rivals, not only Australia, which we kind of expect, but Scotland as well.
I'm Clint Wilden for the ABC in Perth, where I've been thoroughly enjoying sitting on the couch here and watching what's been taking place in the T20 World Cup. And I've been absolutely thrilled as well by what's happening with some of the smaller nations, the non-test playing nations. Taken absolute delight in how they've been performing and causing the odd upset as well.
And I'm Sunil Gupta for Akashvani New Delhi, a very, very, very hot New Delhi. But the actual other heat wave that we're undergoing is, of course, India in the World T20, the big match, India versus Pakistan, India versus the US. So really, it is the India wave in too many ways. It is the heat wave here up north, and it is the cricket wave taking place in New York in the US, and of course in the West Indies in times to come.
Well, later on in the show, we'll hear from Sri Lanka great Mahela Jayawardene about the growth of cricket in the USA ahead of the upcoming second season of Major League Cricket. But we are going to start at the T20 World Cup, where India, West Indies, Australia and South Africa are among the teams to have already reached the Super 8s. India booking their place with victories over Ireland, Pakistan and the USA. Now, all of those matches took place in New York, as cricket looks to crack the American market. And no doubt the most anticipated match of the opening stage of the tournament was that showdown with Pakistan in front of a sellout crowd of 34,000. India beat Pakistan by 6 runs in a low-scoring game, with Pakistan's hopes of reaching the Super 8 still just about alive after they beat Canada by 7 wickets. Pakistan next play Ireland on Sunday. So let's start with that big game, Sunil. And you've been following this World Cup from Delhi. Just give us a sense of what that victory against Pakistan, I mean, they're always big fixtures, aren't they, when they meet these two at World Cups. What did it mean to the India fans watching on?
Actually, if you look at India v Pakistan in the World T20s, it's a tennis score, it's 6-1. Right? It really is. And that's what I mentioned because that was the day of the Roland Garros final as well. So I said there's a tennis score. Somewhere along the line, I have a sense that even though, of course, it was a terrific victory, and we'll come to that in a moment, that type of edge and the fact that, Pakistan and India games are always very close, seems to have been sort of, put aside by the type of ascendancy that India has had in the World Cups, especially against Pakistan. And when I was doing commentary, I, as a commentator, obviously you switch off and you don't have sides and you just call the game. But somewhere in the back of my mind, it was almost inevitable that it was going to happen. And I kept saying, this is a game in which both sides are actually trying to lose it the way that they were batting, because it collapsed from something like 95 or 94 for 4 down to 97 for 8. And the same thing, India, Pakistan were 80 for 4 and 40 runs to get. And I said, it's their game to lose. And they went ahead and lost it.
I wonder what you were thinking, Clint, as you were following it as well. I mean, 119 all out, India. At that point, you think Pakistan will never have a greater chance. The bowlers bowled so well, Haris Rauf and Naseem Shah both finishing with excellent figures. And then to lose it from there, I couldn't quite believe it that they'd lost it from there.
Other than that, we've seen it happen time and time again, Eleanor, haven't we? With Pakistan would be so disappointed. And this after one of the biggest shocks, I think, in T20, and there've been a number, but in T20 World Cups, losing to the United States, that was absolutely staggering. But the batting just doesn't seem to be good enough once again. And I thought, really, when you go through it, Mohammad Rizwan's 31 off 44, and then he bats deep too, up until the first ball of the 15th. He had an absolute obligation to finish that off for Pakistan. They don't score quickly enough. They have big hitters, but they don't seem to be able to want to play the big shots. So they find themselves struggling with their strike rates. So, look, the pitch didn't help. I've got no doubt about that, but both teams had to deal with it. But look, Rizwan begins the chase and Pakistan need, run of ball, and when he leaves, it's now to 7 and over and above, and they just once more bungled an opportunity to beat their arch rivals, and I thought they were tremendously disappointing.
Is it a psychological thing now, Sunil, do you think, for Pakistan, that, they just think, well, we can't do it, as you say, 6-1. Is it an edge that India now have over Pakistan?
I think so. I do think so. I wouldn't have said this a few years ago, but I do think so. Having looked at the results, and I looked up all the results both in the 50-over World Cup as well as in the T20 World Cup over the past few years, and just seems, except for that one aberration in the UAE where Pakistan defeated India by 10 wickets, if you go back to the 2022 one in Melbourne, where Virat Kohli hit Haris Rauf for 2 sixes in that over to win it, just something that Pakistan used to have over India back in the 80s and 90s. India just could not beat Pakistan. And I remember one of the games there where India was going to win, and the commentator said that, India's forgotten how to win. They took 3 overs to score 1 run to win. It was many years ago. I think that's flipped.
Now, staying in the US, and the cricketing feast is set to continue. We're less than a month away from the start of the second season of Major League Cricket. The first edition was won by MI New York, and this week, Stump presenter Alison Mitchell has been speaking to the former Sri Lanka captain Mahela Jayawardena, who is Global Head of Performance at Mumbai Indians. One of Jayawardena's tasks is to oversee their increased international presence, as the franchise also has teams in T20 leagues in the UAE and South Africa.
Yeah, it's a new role probably in franchise cricket. With expansion, having franchises around the world, I think it was something created new at MI, and to look after the cricket side of things, obviously the team, the strategy, the staff, and all that. Obviously, we got a team who's in that space. But I think it's fascinating. Obviously, we started with one IPL team, and now we've got, within a space of 2 years, we've got 5 teams globally, which includes the women's WPL team, which is quite exciting. US, South Africa, and UAE. So I'm sure we'll add a few more to our franchise portfolio. But yeah, it's exciting times.
On the US involvement and MI New York, did that really feel like a step into the unknown, moving into the US market in particular?
Yeah, I think on cricketing grounds, yes, but we know US is a huge sports market, and at the same time, cricket has been embedded in US for many years. I've had friends who left Sri Lanka who's been playing in club cricket in US for many years, and we knew that it was just a matter of time that cricket was going to take off in US, and obviously with the MLC, with the World Cup, and cricket in the Olympics, it was always going to be exciting times for us.
Obviously, the Nassau County Stadium is a pop-up ground which will be dismantled after this T20 World Cup. But what role do you think this World Cup, having matches staged in New York, has played in generating, a degree of interest for New Yorkers to get around cricket?
Yeah, I think it's quite exciting. I don't know. I remember we went with the All-Star tour that was way back in 2016 with all the past cricketers. We had an amazing response. We had baseball stadiums packed. We were at Mets and LA and in Houston, and we had packed stadiums, and the response from the baseball fraternity was that they've never seen these stadiums packed like this for a single game. So once you have your own place in New York is a hub for sports. You have the Mets and you have the Yankees, and you have a huge basketball culture with the Knicks. I think it'll be brilliant for us. Obviously, it's going to be smaller steps, but we'll have definitely a fan base, and looking forward to that.
And the MLC is obviously run separately to USA cricket, but this Team USA at this T20 World Cup has amazed everybody with their results. How do you see the the two kind of working together, if at all they really do? Is there a role for MLC in, bringing up, talented players to feed into a USA team? Or is it really about establishing, that brand, that MI fan base in New York?
We have our own scouts finding new talent and grooming them, and then eventually playing for MI, and then and moving on to play for their national team. We were very proud that there were 4 guys who played in that US setup who was part of MI New York last season. So it's highly exciting. It will go hand in hand. I think once you have your own place, and obviously this is our second season, there'll be funds invested in that grassroots programs, because it's important that you invest in that. Obviously in the minor leagues, finding new talent, and bringing new talent into US as well. I mean, obviously this group of players who are expats who's been in US for many years, and they call them, it's a home for them. MI will definitely have a role to play in that with US cricket in developing the whole culture. Is that the tournament is structured that way as well, to develop young talent. We had some under 19 kids training with us last season, and out of those kids, we obviously picked one for our squad this year. We were quite impressed with it. So I mean, we will always look at bringing that young talent through, and it will be a pathway for US cricket.
And when you talk about investing in grassroots and finding a bit of a pipeline, do you envisage that also being girls and eventually women's cricket as well?
Absolutely. I think, we're very excited to have the WPL team. It's been amazing. I mean, the girls won the first season, obviously, played really well the second season, and women's cricket has come a long way. If you take the last 5-6 years, leagues around the world, and it's highly exciting to see all the new talent coming through as well. And US will be no difference. I think, we'll definitely look at that opportunity and see if there's talent, and obviously we can have that talent playing for us globally in our franchise setup. So I'm sure the WPL is just one step for us, Brian, and we will look at opportunities, expanding our women's cricket through our franchise.
Mahela, a real pleasure to talk to you, and good luck with Mumbai Indians, and of course the US in particular. I guess one final thought would just be, if you had to say what your hopes were for USA cricket and what the biggest challenges that it needs to move forward and for the sport to really be enveloped in the country, what would you say?
Well, I think for everyone to get together, all stakeholders, various parts of US where cricket is embedded for long years, with US cricket, with MLC, having those partnerships with team owners, and investing in grassroots cricket. I mean, I know there are a lot of people have invested in minor leagues as well. We have to recognize that. We have to help them to grow, help a youth program to go through that minor league program, and through US cricket, given opportunities. I think everyone has to sit together and come up with a structure and a plan how we're going to develop cricket in the US. I mean, it's a huge opportunity, and we just need to it's with what cricket is. It's a team game, so it's about everyone getting together and having a team effort developing the game in US.
Well, that was Mumbai Indians head of global performance Mahela Jayawardena speaking to Stump's Alison Mitchell. Well, finally on Stumped, if I were to ask, what do these greats of the game have in common? Don Bradman, Geoffrey Boycott and Gary Sobers. Well, they've all played at Staten Island Cricket Club. It was founded in 1872. It survived 2 world wars, the loss of a clubhouse to a fire, and most recently the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, today the club is made up of players from all over the world, including India, Sri Lanka, the Caribbean and, of course, the USA. Stumped's Alison Mitchell has been to the club to speak to John Moore, who coordinates the Saturday Cricket League that the team play in.
Staten Island Club goes back to the 1870s, 1880s. It's the oldest club in the New York City area and one of the oldest clubs in North America. Maybe some Philly clubs will argue with that, but it's venerable, and they played cricket on this ground since I think 1886. And the club fell into hiatus in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, and was reinvigorated by the current president, Clarence Modeste, who just restored the club to its former glory. I mean, in the 1930s, the Australian touring team played here. Bradman played on this ground. And in the 1960s, some English counties played here. I believe Yorkshire played here. But now the Staten Island Club don't own this ground. It's a council ground. It's owned by New York City, and also play softball here. There are tennis courts. The pavilion, the old pavilion, is now used as a day school for preschoolers, for nursery students. But the club is vibrant. It plays in a Saturday league, as we are here today, and it plays in Sunday leagues, home and away, obviously. And it's part of the New York cricket scene and a major part of it, and we're always glad to come here.
Tell us about the pitch and then the quirks of this ground.
Most of the grounds in our area are like this one. The pitch is rolled clay on which you stretch a jute matting and nail it down. And that makes a perfectly good cricket pitch. Doesn't move around a huge amount. If you're a wrist spinner or a very strong off spinner, you can get some movement. This ground in particular, the clay is very soft, very hard. It's very well rolled. It's just a hard surface, makes it a good batting track. So it's quite a high scoring ground, which is exacerbated by the fact that it's quite a small ground with overhanging trees, and if you hit an overhanging tree, it's 6. So bowlers don't have a lot going for them, but one thing you do have is the long grass is your friend. And speaking as a slow bowler, I'm extremely grateful for the long grass. You have to hit it quite hard to hit it along the ground for 4, which is why all too many of the batsmen aim for the trees. And usually you put the ball where you want to, and then they put the ball where they want to, and that involves a tree.
I have noticed a lot of aerial shots at the moment, and also probably realising that, well, we are just off the boundary, but there is no actual boundary marked, is there?
No, where the grass ends is a boundary. If you hit the fence, if you hit the path, if you hit a tree, if you hit anything that isn't grass, it's 4 or 6, depending on the circumstances. The other quirk is that all the bowling is done from only one end, and that's because there are some quite fancy houses behind the bowler's arm at the other end. And a few years back, the local residents got a bit upset by too many straight sixes landing in their garden or hitting their house. So the club was faced with an existential choice: bowl from only one end or face legal problems, and they took the smart decision, and it really doesn't matter.
What about the membership of Staten Island itself? Do you have a sense of how many people are involved in the club nowadays?
Well, they field 3 teams, 1 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday, so membership's probably in around 50, maybe more than that. I don't have a lot to do with the Sunday games here, so I can't give you more precise numbers than that. But Staten Island, a lot of the heritage was Guyanese, and so there was a time when most of the players were born in Guyana, but that's really now a thing of the past, and it's much more, we'll just take you if you want to be a member, which is a lot of what New York cricket is. It's pretty multicultural. There are some teams that are Caribbean based. If you're born in Jamaica, you're going to play for this club. If you're born in Barbados, you'll play for the Bajan club. But cricket in this area is dominated now by Indian subcontinent immigrants. It's just statistically, numerically, most players come from that part of the world, learn their cricket abroad. There is an Australian team where you have to have an Aussie passport or residency, and everyone else just fits in.
Well, that was John Moore from the Staten Island Cricket Club talking to Stumped's Alison Mitchell. That's all from this week's edition of Stumped. Thank you to Clint Wheeldon and to Sunil Gupta. Join us again next time.